See how well. I don't even know if that's gonna cover what I'm doing. Let's see. I'm gonna flip over some shit here. I'm gonna go see if this comes in because I don't know if it will. I'm out in the country and I'm away from my Wi-Fi. Yeah, we'll try and get it a little over here and just see what happens here. I gotta cut down a few big trees yesterday. Gotta do some splitting. Welcome. One of the things I learned about splitting wood is it's much easier to split them in the direction that the tree grows. So I'll be turning all the logs up so the top most part is up, and they split easier anyway. That's one thing I learned from an old timer. See if anybody's come in yet. Not yet. We'll see. I gotta go get my maul. 10 people in here. Oh, already got somebody spamming the chat. We don't do spam around here, man. Who's in here? Yeah. I'm just gonna have to put that user in a timeout for a little bit of time. Yeah, I'm just doing some splitting. I know as stream progresses, you can get you can hit that red bar and go backwards and see. Got to work. Paying you by the hour. Yeah, I know, man. I got to get to work, dude. I got to earn my keep, dude. That's what I'm here for. So my whole life I've used a regular old splitting maul. It's just a standard old common design. But I just found this new one last year that Rigid makes, which has a wider wedge. So it splits out and it's got kind of a little bit of a concaved area on the side, and it weighs the same amount. So we're going to see how this one works here. I found it to be okay. Oh, are you going to be able to see me all the way back there? That's where I'm going to start back there. welcome. I figure I'll let the chat let you guys talk among yourselves while I work. Although, let's see. Maybe I'll take a minute, a short break, and see who's in the chat. Oh, welcome. Whew. I love some good work. Okay. Sean Walker. Welcome, Sean. I don't know why. All right, Vivian Vargas. What up, Christopher? All right, well, I'm just doing some wood splitting, that's all. Good, hard work. I wonder if I can zoom in. Maybe. Zoom. Zoom, zoom. Huh. Cool. Yeah. What do we got here? Uh, maybe bring it closer. Trying to figure out how I can set the tripod. Yeah, maybe that'll work. That naughty piece of wood. So when splitting wood, can't get any light here. I can't even tell if this is coming out clear or not, but there's a natural crack in wood. And I always look for that natural crack. Oh, you can see right there. It kind of goes off that way. Doop. And then here, it comes off this way. And so, I'm going to split. I'm going to hit it over here at an angle to run into that natural crack. And it'll open up off of this crack, usually about that direction. That's an old timer showed me. Or maybe I got that from experience, I'm not sure. It's split. Knot in that one. Knotty wood. Knotty. Yep. Splitting through oak knots is fun. Yeah, mostly nothing but knot. that's why. The very middle is a fucking knot. Yeah, I've been splitting for 20 minutes. Welcome. That's cool, whatever. Huh. I wonder if it's showing up. It says 14 people's in here. Oh, there could be stunted comments. I didn't have it set to all comments, so if I missed something, I apologize. It says there's 20 people in the chat. It says there's 20 people in the chat. Oh, you don't need to hear the echo of that. But it's not showing any chats. Let me see if I can set the chat filter here. Chat filter to all messages. Yeah, nothing's coming over. Oh well. 17, 20 people. Can you see me? I think you can. I'm here. I'm just way down here. Maybe I should move the legs. So that'll put me a little bit closer to your height. Yeah, I guess. There we go. 14 people. Well, welcome to my live stream. Welcome to my channel. I'm Scott, also known as Underdress. I have some of the best water in my region. I'm definitely blessed with that. It's filtered through sand. Shallow filtered through sand. I don't get any of the farmland chemicals in the water. Don't get any of the city poisons they put in the city supply. Gotta make sure my hat. Welcome to my mirror. Oh boy, yeah. I didn't brush a beard this morning yet, so woke out of bed and this is my hair. This is my bed head, my morning dew. Well, welcome to my homestead, they like to call it. It's my homestead. It's where I have a home instead of my actual home, which is in heaven. There's my home. I look for a land that I have not yet come to. Time to get back to work. Somebody's not paying me to sit there with my hands in my pockets. Knotty piece of wood. Try to get one more half out of that one. There it is. Knot it, knot it, knot it. That's the fun with red oak. It's actually black oak. Knocked it over without splitting it in half. See if I can do that one right. Why is there got to be a knot in everything? Fucking didn't want to go past that knot. It's called Firewood Club. Welcome, welcome. I guess as long as I shut up, people stick around. That's interesting. Yeah, I like the idea of that being an all-nighter. It's what I do. I like it too. Take you for a walk. That tree, this is a pretty large tree, a double tree. To give you an idea, from that point to that point is almost 4 feet, 48 inches. So it's called the double tree. And I had one branch that was leaning, or one stem was leaning way off that way, and another stem was leaning way off that way. And I dropped both trees, double tree area, actually a little differently than the direction that they were wont to be going. And as you can see, I got all the logs lined up where that tree laid down. That's what I'm doing today. Tried to do a video. Oh, I did. I recorded a video of me cutting them down because I actually had a technique that I use that's not commonly known as to how to determine where the tree's going to land on the ground as far as distance goes, so you don't hit anything that causes property damage. But I've been cutting trees for about 30 years now. Wow, time goes by. About 30 years I've been cutting trees, and the first 20 years was just sheer grace of the Lord giving me mercy that I didn't kill myself, because I really was ignorant to many things in the physics of tree cutting, with tension and compression, and being able to read a tree, knowing the different kinds of woods and how brittle some are and prone to barber chairs. And there's a lot of dangers in tree cutting that people don't even realize. And it really is by the grace of God that I have not hurt myself in my younger years of ignorance. But I've learned a lot, and I want to share what I've learned in some things, you know, to help people, to mitigate dangers. I've watched a lot of tree fail videos, and it kind of almost like a gut punch to see people laughing at other people getting injured, like seriously injured or killed. I could never find myself to laugh at that stuff, but I watch them to learn. Like, well, what did they do wrong? You know, and a lot of them are really stupid things, you know, that you would think common sense is an oxymoron, because if it were common, we wouldn't see so much nonsensibility. But yeah, I'm not sporting any frickin' company or ad. That just happens to be a shirt somebody gave me, high visibility. I like it. I don't even know what this is, some kind of sports team or something. I like high visibility, especially when I'm doing tree work. When I'm going where I'm working near the road, I need people to see me for a quarter mile off before they run me over. Well, welcome to the live stream. It looks like, oh, hold on a second. I didn't mean to do that. Chat filter, all messages. Okay. Sometimes it freezes up. Anyway, enjoy the show, I guess. I'm just going to be wearing myself out here, splitting wood. Enjoy the show. Actually, I think I'm going to have to back this up a little bit. I'm moving in toward the camera quicker than I thought I would. There we go. Now you get to see some more shit. I have to move my water and my camera. And then if I'm over here, can you see that one? No, can't see that one. Let's see if I can zoom out. Nope, that's it. Maybe now you can see. Yeah, that one's visible. That's a really funky one. I didn't know anything that one upside down. Naughty. Yep, this whole thing is naughty. This whole tree was naughty. One of the tricks of splitting wood properly is to hit the same spot more than once. A buddy of mine says he splits like lightning, never strikes the same place twice. choice here. One knot, another knot, or no. We'll go with another one. Right good. Might be coming all-nighter. Probably will. Yep, there's the bulk of that knot right there. These ones are awkward to stack because they're big on the bottom, small on the top. Some people call them bastard wood. I call them all-nighters. That one nice. That one nice. Chip away at it. That will make those knots submit to my force. I have taken authority over this tree. I will be victorious. That one's looking a little funky. I don't know about that one. Chip away piece by piece. This is like a pure knot. There's 13 people in here. I'm guessing it's just a bunch of bot fake accounts. YouTube thinks that I've got an audience. Been at it for about 50 minutes. That whole log was a big knot. Fun. Now this here, it's good enough to become an all-nighter. I think I'm going to drop that into another piece. Hi baby. Hi Puma. Hi baby girl. She wants in by the fire. If I can hit the same spot twice, it'll break. Almost there. There we go. That'll be an all-nighter now. Doesn't take much. You just gotta know how to read wood. Who doesn't like hardwood? Fuck, guys are buying blue pills to make sure they got hardwood. I just never understood that. The only thing I can think of that would cause somebody to have problems with that. Hey, what's going on? Huntington Township. Oh, I'm just splitting wood today. I dropped a couple of huge oak trees yesterday and I'm just going through. I decided to not spend a lot of time in the camera, just, you know, go out there working and see what you know, comes up, and take little water breaks and read the chat. Nobody's chatting. But I was looking at some of the people that did chat and they look like they're kids and fake accounts, and I can only guess at YouTube. It says I got 28 people on here and nobody's saying anything. You know, so and nobody said anything in a half hour, but I got, you know, over 100 people have shown up in the last half hour, which is odd. I usually don't get that, but I think they're all just chat bot accounts or bot accounts where, um, you know, YouTube is. That's one thing I noticed was with my other channel. I look at, you know, because you're a moderator, you can look at anyone that's chatted, and you can see it's either little kids or people that have absolutely nothing on their channel, not even a description. You know, you can't even see the day they were created now. YouTube changed that. And so it looks to me like these accounts are just bot accounts, but it's freezing here in Adams County. It's right around 30, 33, 34 degrees here, so it's not quite freezing, you know, but I like to do all my tree work in the winter just because um, you got to be long sleeved to deal with branches and carrying logs and all that. Otherwise, it'll cut your arms up. And in the summertime, long sleeves just get to sweating so bad. I don't like it. You know, and you got the mosquitoes and the bugs and poison ivy's out. In the wintertime, everything's dormant. You know, and it's I can work my ass off. I prefer it a little colder than this because right now I'm already working up way too much of a sweat. For my liking anyway. Yeah. I've been put on errands. I just returned home. Okay. Yeah, I gotta say, Marie, you're something else. The way you work diligently, you're an amazing woman. You really are. I see the content you put out. I don't comment on all the videos. Sometimes I don't watch them all because frankly, sometimes those meetings are boring, but I see the work you put into it, not just being there and recording, but learning all of the details of the responsibilities of every single person that's on the board. I'm thinking, man, you should have I said that in the comment, you should have a paying position where the taxpayer should pay you because you're really, you know, holding the public servants accountable. And they don't like it because they're crooks. If they were, I just commented on somebody's video recently that said the real news would be if you could find one municipality in the entire world that isn't corrupt. Put that up there. Put that on YouTube. You know, you're not going to find it. It's like trying to find a unicorn. That's a reference to the hot wife. What is it? Hot. I forgot what it is. It's the Matrix, the hot wife Matrix or something like that. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but you should look it up. Hot wife Matrix, something like that. But it gives you a unicorn, things that don't exist. Same thing with men. I'm not saying it. I'm not a misogynist. I insult both men and women alike because we got our issues. Yeah, your editor does a lot of work too. Yes, I could tell the editing. You know, just yesterday, that's something I don't know. Yesterday I did this video. I spent 2.5 to 3 hours to record this video out of my time, which would have taken me 6-7 minutes to cut this tree down. But instead I spent the time, I ended up with audio problems. I got a little, you know, mic, what do you call it, remote mic that I had clipped on, and I had some issues with the Bluetooth and things weren't working out, and I'm sitting there trying. Finally, after 2.5 to 3 hours, I finally get 15 minutes and 15 seconds of recording B-roll, which I wanted to break down to about 5 minutes to help people. I've got some techniques that I use for cutting down trees that a lot of people don't know. It can mitigate all sorts of property damage and personal injury, and I just want to help people. So I did this video specifically to help people. I tried to do an edit on it, and you know, I'm only using my phone. I have a computer, but I really don't like getting on the computer much. It's just inconvenient to boot the whole thing up, and it's got the brand new my son built this supercomputer for me, and I don't know. I'm a Firewood guy. I start fire with a friction stick, you know. I mean, flint and steel. Come on, give me a freaking computer. Really, that's how I am. But no, I'm just but I have to acknowledge your editor does a great job. That's all I'm saying. I can't edit a video to save my life. Literally, like put a gun to my head and say edit a video. I'll be like, shoot, just shoot, just shoot me now. And the funny thing is, I was in the music industry and I had excellent sound guys when I was doing it. And after I had ended my career in music, I decided to just do a home studio. I got all the mics, I got all the sound equipment, the headphones. Took me 60 hours of trying to learn what one word meant, to find out why I was having a problem with the audio. It was called latency, and I needed to know what the term was so I could find it in the settings of my dealio. 60 hours to find out the meaning of one word. And I kept using the terms like, hey, I'm getting a delay in the sound and the audio, where I'll speak and it'll give a 0.7 second delay before I hear it. I'll play the guitar, and anyway, by the time it was all said and done, I had tons of hours wrapped up into it. I didn't have a bad setup after I got it figured out. I was just recording my own stuff, that's it. And anyway, I just realized that I have an ear for music. I can hear, I can take an equalizer and I can adjust it to make music sound really, really good, even shitty music. But when it comes to the whole aspect of editing music, editing videos, doing everything to get it, the whole production, that takes a different level of personality or brain power than I don't have. I'm a creative guy, but I don't have that ability. Your editor's awesome. That's all I meant to say. Sorry, I went on a rant, but yeah. I don't understand. I'm just trying to read. I got the sun shining in my eyes here. I don't understand why public servants are so corrupt. It's because power and money corrupts, and then you look and you find out that they're all members of the same lodge. And I think you know what I'm talking about, but that's literally in every municipality. I was just talking with somebody the other day on the phone who lives in a podunk town in Kentucky where one of the local city council members decided he wanted to run for mayor, and they threw a brick through the window of his freaking business. And interestingly enough, it's the same town that those cops shot that guy. They went to the wrong house to get a weed whacker back for a judge, and the guy answered the door in the middle of the night with a gun in his hand, as would any rightfully thinking man in the country. Somebody comes knocking on your door or pulling up in your driveway in the middle of the night, I always show up armed. That's just fucking common sense. Because you don't know if they're armed. And they were, and as soon as he opened the door, they freaking shot him. Over a judge's weed whacker, and it was the wrong house. But anyway, I digress. And that whole thing got pushed under the rug. I think civil rights lawyer did a thing on that, John Bryan. I've been told by residents that I have to be careful. Yeah, I could see it in their eyes. I'm a personality trait person. I can see a lot in a person's eyes. I'm not going to say I have all judgment and all discernment, but you can see in people's eyes. I can see they hate you. They hate you. Every one of them. They just hate you with a hatred because you're bringing a camera. You're making an unbiased record, and you're calling them out on their crooked dealings. But I like that last video you did where you kind of brought up some of the positive changes that you've made, and it looks like the last guy, maybe he's trying to make a show for the public, by acknowledging wrongs and whatever, but or maybe he's actually going to try to do right by the people. That'd be great. But it'd be going against the clique because they've had that thing going for at least a couple decades, maybe a couple generations. But I want to encourage you to do it because, I don't know if your local residents would even recognize the value you bring to the table. I was telling somebody the other day, you know, people don't realize that they see their tax bills go up between their state, their federal, and their local taxes, and they think it's all inflation, and it's a lot of it is civil rights lawsuits. You know, you got a $4 million settlement from one town. Where's that money coming from? Single engine Cessna. We got a small airport not too far away. Yeah, it looks like I turned that into a 10-minute break. I gotta get back on it. Time's getting away from me. I gotta get this firewood split so it seasons out for next winter. But anyway, yeah, so now I'm sitting on a video I know can help a lot of people. I just don't know how to edit it. That's the whole digital thing is something that I am not very comfortable with, I guess. Let me see, Cody. I'm having a hard time. Hold on a second. I need to try to get to an optometrist and get a new prescription, so I got my magnifying glass out. Cody Lear, a resident, submitted a letter of interest for the Planning Commission vacancy. He isn't part of the clique. We shall see who they choose. Yeah, that's another thing too. I mean, when you got the spotlight on them, which is what you do, they're more prone to not do the things that they would otherwise do. You know, so I mean that in and of itself is a valuable thing. You know, and they want to try to keep stuff private, the things they do. I got a meme that says, the government is made up of public servants. We should know everything about them. We are private citizens. They should know nothing about us. They got it backwards. They want to know everything about us, especially with this whole flock AI, fucking Amazon, Ring, and you know, then all of the communication devices are working together now with AI so that every single person is being tracked, watched, and frickin' surveilled. And then you try to find the address of a public servant, you find out that they've got some kind of wall that prevents people from learning about them. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? You guys are literally entrusted with power over the rights of the people and power to, you know, take our money, and you don't want us to know even where you live, but you not only want us to, they don't not only want to know where we live, they want to know every single place we go to, every single person we're in connection with, and every single word that we say. Come on. Yeah, we're living in a serious draconian surveillance police state is what we're living in. Freedom! Oh, sorry. The clique really doesn't care about how they are perceived. Yeah, I know that. Oh, they do. Because they get angry. You know, they do get angry. They put on the public, you know, displays that they want people to perceive them as being wholesome and upright. One thing I've seen over and over again, a lot of the most crookedest people are deacons in a church, you know, or even some of them are pastors in a church, and it's like, yeah, well, that right there tells me what kind of person they are. And I don't know if you're one of these people that goes to these corporations that have the word church in their business name, but they're all, every single one of them, the pastors have to lie in order to maintain their budgets. And if they told the whole truth, they'd have to get a job. They have to shut down their businesses because, you know, they wouldn't be able to get anyone in there. And that's all of them. Every single one of them. They're designed after a model that is not what we see in Scripture. The new township secretary redacted the address in connection with a file to the request response concerning her pay stubs. Yeah, how about that? Like, oh yeah, you can't see where I live. Girl, I want to see where you live. I want to see all your connections. I want to see your conversations, both on the phone, in person, with anyone that has anything to do with a possible conflict of interest. You know, you're in the public. You're a public servant. We should know those things. Yeah. Right to know. Ugh. Voice to text. Yeah, I knew what you meant. Uh, yeah, it's just I can read through that stuff all the time. That's how this world seems to be, mostly text and anything. But if I got a question, if I don't have like, you know, clear, concise understanding, I ask questions rather than make assumptions, and that's something a lot of people don't do, and I wish more people would do that. I usually try to communicate with words where there's no question as to what I'm saying. But if there is, I'd rather people ask me rather than perceive something outside of what my intent or my statement is. And I get that all the time. People just, they immediately look at things with a perception outside of what literal words mean by their definition. And they, well, you probably know. Anyway, I'm going to get back on this. Time's getting away. Hey, thanks for popping in. I'm going to see if I get a whole bunch of bot accounts that are going to watch me split wood for the day. So, I'm going to have to move this even further away now. Pretty soon I'm going to have to go into tree cutting mode. I got a few branches I need to cut up. Anyway, thanks for joining. I'll see you. That ain't cooperating. Maybe it'll cooperate upside down. I wasn't asking. sometimes you gotta use brute force. Let's see if I can get that with 2 more. That'll work. Yep. So this is a major branch. That'll be fun. Just chip away at it. Spot where I can bring it down. I got a small saw. Still hanging out. That's gonna be fun. Splitting through knots. Now technically this will fit in my stove, but I think I'll let it. I'll call that an all-nighter or all-dayer. Huh. Oh boy. Oh, I still got a log over there I didn't get. What do you know? I don't know where my mind was. Let's see what we got here. Howdy Huntington. Hey, keeping it real life. Charles, welcome. Yeah, I'm just splitting wood today. I dropped a couple of really big oak trees yesterday. Hey, Charles, I wouldn't mind if you hit me up on that my email, which is on my page, and yeah, exchange numbers and talk. I got a couple questions about video editing. I just recorded. The reason I mention this because I'm just got through doing a video. It took me almost 3 hours just to get this thing recorded and tried to edit. So 15 minutes and 15 seconds of B-roll. A lot of things I need to cut out of it, and I'm just having trouble. I spent probably a total of, now I think about it, because this morning for an hour I was trying to work on editing it, and I just can't get it. I'm curious about how you do it, how other people do it. My son's like an expert video editor, but he lives about an hour away, and he's working full-time and going to school, and he's got his other activities. So we see each other about once a month or two, or maybe twice, but I don't know. How long does oak take to season before you use it? So I usually let it season for about a year. There was a time when I had enough wood to supply for about 3 to 4 years, and what I found is it burns better after 2 years of seasoning. But I'm behind the eight ball with it. I usually split it the year before I use it. Like all this stuff I'll probably be using next winter if I'm here. And that's another reason why too, is like I don't even know if I'm going to be here next year. I don't know what the next year holds, and it's a lot of work to get up enough wood to burn for an entire season. I got 18 trees I need to cut down at my house. After yesterday was 2 trees, but I'll show you the tree I just cut down yesterday. It's over here. That's it was a big double tree. That's 4 foot from there to there at the base, 48 inches, and it's oak. And it splits off into 2, and each one is about 20 inches. This one's 20 inches. This is about 18 inches, of and I don't know if you know anything about tree cutting, but this tree was leaning this way, and I had to drop it that way to keep it from getting tangled up in that tree. And so in order to drop it that way, I had to make my wedge cut shallow, and then I had to do a plunge cut to take away any kind of holding wood on this side, so that as I went through and did my back cut release, it had all the holding wood on this side, so when the tree dropped, it would lean toward the holding wood and draw it in a direction. It's kind of a cool trick I learned. Some of the things that I just like to share with people to help people. And here's another one where I had to have more holding wood on this side, and this side was just a couple inches of holding wood, because I had to have this tree, which is leaning that way, I had to drop it that way. And as you can see by the pile of firewood, that's the direction I dropped it in. But yeah. Oh yeah, so there is my old truck. That's an 03 Sierra 4x4. Man, I love that truck. It runs great. It's got 374,000 miles on it, and that thing runs smooth. I just put brand new tires on it, started having a parasitic power draw, and instead of going through the work of trying to figure out what was causing it, I just invested the money into another vehicle. That truck is a 2013 Sierra, newer, less miles. Didn't like the engine, don't like the 4.8 in it. It just doesn't have the power that the 5.3 does. And then that's my cruising vehicle right there, that Buick Enclave. Man, is that comfortable on the road, but again, underpowered. I don't like underpowered vehicles. You did a good job with that. Yeah, I've been cutting trees for almost 30 years now. Literally, it's like 27, 28 years. And I just figured that this morning. It's like, wow, I really, the first probably 20 years, I was very, very ignorant to a lot of the ways in which I could mitigate dangers and risks. And it's only by God's grace that I didn't kill myself. And I can look back and see, there was one time I was doing a back cut on a tree, and I didn't know nothing about wedges or manipulating like I do now. And as I'm pulling this thing out, the tree was straight up and down. And I was under the impression that as long as I made a wedge cut in the direction I wanted to go, and I made the back cut, that it would automatically fall toward the wedge. I didn't know anything about dimensions, how you want to keep it between 25 and 33% of the depth of the diameter of the tree. There's like a lot of things to know about tree cutting that I just didn't know. I just made my wedge cut probably about almost halfway through, and I'm doing the back cut, and all of a sudden I see my my kerfing line getting smaller. It was going towards pinching on my bar where it was headed toward my house, dude. It was literally a huge tree, made these look like small ones. And it's heading toward my house. And I pulled away from the tree and I just cried out to the Lord and I said, God, please help me. And dude, as soon as I prayed that, all of a sudden that curve opened up and the tree dropped the exact opposite way, but it was heading toward my house, you know. And so I don't, you know, people say they don't believe in God. That's just, they don't want to believe in God. Anyway, that's just my story. I'm sticking to it. Okay. The other old oak had to be taken down at one point. It was struck by lightning. So an arborist said for safety, it needed to be taken down. Yeah. Hold on a second. I think I missed the beginning part. Oh, okay. I missed that. Okay, I will try to email you. Oh, cool. I missed some of this. Sorry about that. How long does it take to see? Okay, I read that. I have a 200, dude. I know how big a 230, dude. I know, Marie. Sorry, I don't mean to call you dude, but I know how big a 220-year-old or 230-year-old oak tree is. That the diameter of the base of that is about 5 feet. I mean, they're huge. I had two others, but one was felled by a windstorm. Oh, I hope it didn't do no damage. This past spring, a farmer in a local town went out to cut a tree and unfortunately fell on him. He was 80 years old trying to do this by himself. Very sad. Yep. Yeah, I know. I've cut up 5-foot trees. I've never cut one down that big. The biggest I've cut is 48 inches. Yeah, probably I'd say 48 inches. Right around there, about 4 feet. And those are hard. And I didn't know about skip chains, so I was just using a regular chain. And it just takes longer and takes more gas and more energy. If you got a skip chain, you can get a longer bar and be a lot more efficient, you know. But like I said, it's just, I wish I would have learned working in the industry by professionals. But after a couple of close calls, I decided I was going to start, I began YouTubing. Looking up YouTube. I saw a lot of training videos. I saw Canadian, official Canadian government training videos for arborist safeties, and I began to look, and it's like, wow. You know, even like when I cut trees down, I never used to wear chaps. Well, 80% of all accidents occur with the chainsaw hitting your legs. People die from the chain hitting your frickin' femoral artery. You know, it's like, oh yeah, okay, so let's wear chaps. You know, and I always did protect my eyes. Didn't always wear a helmet, but I've seen some accidents where guys had things come down from a tree, or you hit a tree will knock another tree's branch off and it'll fling back at the guy cutting, you know, and you got barber chairs and all sorts of dangers. There are a lot of dangers in tree cutting that are not commonly known by the average novice. Yeah. The tree that was felled by wind caused... Oh, that's cool. All right, I'm going to get back on this. I got to get this work done. My cat's over there crying because she wanted to come out. Now she wants to go back in. It's like, no. They're made to deal with this. Cats are made to acclimate to the weather and deal with this stuff. And besides, she'll enjoy it a lot more when she can sit by the fire after I'm done. Time to move on to the next one. I think that'll pick it up. Let's see. Maybe not. Maybe I gotta go that way. something like that. Until I'm getting out of getting down on the log situation, I'm gonna have to get out the chainsaw and start cutting some more. Splitting that knotty wood. Oh, the oaks around here, I got lots of knots. Lots of knots. See if I can split through this one. Ain't gonna be fun. But it's good exercise. Huh. That's gonna be fun. That's not gonna be fun. Yeah. If I can chip away at that. I might be able to get that in the wood stove. There we go. That'll fit in the stove. I'm almost out of the frame already. So, when I have a piece like this to cut, to split, you can't really hit the wall on this side, but you can on the flat side. So, I prop it up against something so I can hit it on the flat side. Come on, baby. You want to go inside? It's like, yeah, I've been yelling at you for the last hour. And what do you know, it works. There it is. So, gotta move back away again. I'm getting her done. Hey, welcome, welcome. Let's see who this is. Sorry, in the daylight and with my old eyes, I have a hard time seeing who do we got here. Wow, I really can't see. Hold on. Oh, Fiona, what's going on? Yeah, you don't know what it's like to be in these cold climates. Yes, I do have a wood stove. It's not a very big one. It's one of those Menards ones. It's made for, I don't know, 1,800 or 1,500 square feet. I warped it one year using hedgewood, Osage orange, which is the hottest burning wood we have and the hardest wood in North America. And that stuff just had white coals. It was bright white, and it literally melted. It takes 3,200 degrees to melt steel, and that wood heated up enough to make the steel glow and sag. It didn't turn it liquid, but it made it glow and sag, so the top of my stove has an arch, and so I can really only stack wood in from front to back to be able to stock up the stove. And I only got a 16-inch clearance, so that direction. I got 22 inches lengthwise, or widthwise. But yeah, yeah. So I got to cut shorter pieces, you know, 16, usually between 12 and 16 inches is what I cut them at. Like the live. Cool. Yeah, another year. Buddy Township's still here. I'm eating lunch. Oh, okay. I'll be recording the Littlestown's PA area school district meeting this evening. Man, those school district meetings are something else. Now they're a real interesting group. Yeah, I'll be looking forward to seeing that upload. You know, I think I'm more of a realist than I am an optimist. And realistically, I don't see that we're going to be able to see any major change in the overall scheme of things, because we are living in the days that were prophesied of old, and according to the Bible, all the governments of the world are going to be united. You know, they're united with corruption. That's how they do it. You know, deception, corruption, evil, wickedness. You know, I tell people that are all back to blue and support our troops and all that, it's like, you don't know what the fuck you're saying. You know, literally. I mean, I'm sorry if you're offended at my words. Sometimes I get a little, I use sentence enhancers. But, you know, you're literally supporting the government that the Bible says is not going to be the good guys in the last days. They're not. And anyone that does any true, serious investigation with integrity will discover that they're all corrupt. Like I said, the real news is if you could find one municipality in the world that isn't corrupt, then that would be something that, you know, should be blown up all over. But truthfully, people don't want to see good stuff. They want to see evil. You know, Southern Draw Law. Um, he's. I guess every content creator has learned that you get a lot more views when you see evil stuff than you do if you see good stuff. Except for those heartwarming things about animals, because everybody loves animals more than people. Well, not everybody, but a lot of people love animals more than they love people. All right, I'm done with that rant. All right, I'm done with that rant. Get these branches out of my way. I didn't finish clearing my branches yesterday. That's going to be fun in the long run. Get these branches. Oh. Do. Ooh, yeah, I'll take that one. That's a naughty one. Oh, let's do it just like that. Ooh. I don't know how I got this knot over here, but I did. It used to be over there. All these branches. Fun. Yeah. After this next round, I'm going to have to turn the chainsaw on. Probably cut the live stream. I don't even know what my battery is. I started with about 95%. And I am at 24%, so I'm not going to be on here long. Alright. I was actually surprised that it was able to record a live stream pretty well. I'm out in the country and I'm not on my Wi-Fi. Alright. This one here is going to have to be planted like that. Then I got to move these things out the way. Ooh. All right. I try to be efficient. Yeah. Now I got to get some water. I should be able to see comments here. Looks like I got all my logs split. Now I got to make more logs. Bring y'all into my messy house. Ugh. Welcome, welcome. All right. Oh boy. Yeah, here's my wood stove. I don't know if anybody's watching. Talking about how the top is arched out, but I got the fire going. But you can see how the top bowed down, and it even melted a hole into the top of it when I burned that Osage orange one year. That stuff is, that's hard to split. Hard to split and hard to, what do you call it? Hard to split and hard to cut. That's a pain in the butt to cut. Man, is it hot in my house. One thing I do like about wood burning stove is it heats up the house so good. And it keeps me in shape. Yep, it does. Where's my water? I gotta find my water here. Oh, there it is. I think I'm gonna have a smoke break. Should probably snack on something. After I'm done on the slab, I'm gonna go plug this in real quick because the battery's getting low, but I'll get back out there and start running the chainsaw. It just let me know I'm down to 15% battery. All right. Sorry, I'll be reading. What make of wood stove do you have? The make. See if you can see it. I don't know. It was one shipped in from Canada. Made in Canada. Yeah. CFM. It's a CFM corporation. Yeah. I installed it. I put porcelain tile around and cement board underneath and made sure I got like an inch of fireproofing underneath the stove. And I bought these tiles at 12" and 6" and did all these cuts myself and kind of made my own design, which is kind of cool, you know, I thought anyway. And ran the pipe, did everything, got this heat reclaimer, which what it does is it actually has these tubes that goes through the heat chamber where this pipe is, and the air inside of these tubes heats up a lot, and then there's a fan on the back side of it that blows the heat through into the air, so you reclaim a good amount of heat. It really does reclaim. It's called magic heat, but it reclaims a really good amount of heat. All right. Now, time for me to. This is the tripod I use. I bought this somewhere, used, really good deal. It's a Zomi. I think I might have gotten it at a what do you call it? Secondhand store. But you know, it's maybe a $75 or $80 tripod I got for like $100. It's called the Zomi. It has a thing for a weight to go on there. It's got an adjustable thing there, and then you can fix it by tightening it up. You know, it's got this, all the adjustments on it are really micro. It's got a lot of micro adjustments, and it's pretty cool. And then I bought myself one of these DJI gimbals. One of these devices here, which is really cool, and it comes with its own external microphone, or maybe, I bought the microphone separate, I think. Yeah, I bought the external DJI mic separate, and then I bought a case that's made to catch it all. But you know, my intention was to start doing videos. I pulled it out to record a guy doing a records request the other day, last week, and ended up. I've had the stove since I bought this house in 2004. Yeah, the year I bought this house, I put it in, so it's 2004. So yeah, it's 22 years old. Sorry, I should have done that off camera. But, well, let me see if I missed anything here. I put it back in the tripod. I probably missed something. I know I do like the live long time. Yeah, it has been a long time. Is Fiona still in here? I wonder. Hope you're well. I'm guessing you have a wood stove. Yeah, I think I caught up. Yep, I think I'm caught up. We have a DJI Pocket 4 camera. Yeah, those are nice. My editor loves it. We also have the 2 DJI action cameras. Cool. DJI makes some really good stuff. They just passed a law that prohibits any new DJI drone technology to come into the United States. The stuff that's already here is allowed, and they can still ship parts for the things that, you know, are needed, but they're not allowing any more advanced technology drones. I've got a few different channels. This channel here is the one I use to kind of hold my subscriptions for things regarding the legal system and government, you know, government accountability, activism, and stuff like that. It started off just watching First Amendment audits, and that led me into more actual activism type accounts and whatnot. You know, and then yeah, I forgot what I was going with that. The different accounts I have. Oh, and I got another account that I use for like firewood stuff, for bushcraft stuff, for, you know, things related to the faith of God. And a lot of how-to videos that are helpful. And I've actually put out some really helpful videos, like how to change a water inlet valve on a Maytag. You know, it was something that it didn't take much time for me to do a video recording of it, but it's helped out like 40,000 people. You know, it's loaded with comments. People send me emails all the time saying thank you, you know, because they couldn't find out how to open their shroud on the washing machine and stuff. And so I'm kind of handy like that. I can, you know, mechanically, I can usually figure stuff out. That one took me a long time to figure out. Couldn't find anything online about it, so I decided I'd make a video on it. And, you know, and then an idea that I had to hold down a Chevy pickup truck bed or GMC pickup truck bed when you've got a problem with the old female nuts that are fastened in there and stuff. And so, you know, just some really cool things that I know that can help people. And so that's one channel. Another channel is just my other account that I use to find out when I've been ghost censored from a person's channel. A bunch of stuff, but anyhow, I did not plug my phone in. Hold up. There we go. Down to 9%. Ooh, cutting it close. Huh. I can't believe people actually want to watch that. I don't know how many views I've had so far, but when I first started, like the first 20 minutes, there was like 40 people in there at once. Nobody was saying anything, but I don't know. It could have been one of those. Younger men don't even have tools because they didn't learn from their dads. I know. I know that's actually one of the consequences of the houses, the families being broken up. I have two sons that, my wife took them when they were young. Uh, Only my youngest son, well, I was able to impart a lot with them because I had them every other weekend, but it's not the same as if you're with them working on every project that you have to work with. I didn't grow up having a dad. I had to learn the hard way. I didn't have, I had two different stepdads. One of them, as I was a teenager, is when he came into the picture. He showed me how to run a drywall, uh, how to set drywall, how to tape and mud and whatnot, which was cool. That was helpful. But no, that's fine, dude. I'm actually not going to be on long because I just had to put my phone on the charger because it was going down 9%. I got to get back out there and run the chainsaw. But yeah, that was pretty cool. I got about an hour and a half. I got all the big logs split up from that tree. It was slow going when I first started, and then I finally got like a burst of energy. That's the thing about working or working out is as you get older, it becomes harder to get started. But once you get started, I can just keep moving. But it's that initial start. I do work out with weights. I like to keep strong. Moving firewood around, cutting trees, and a lot of times I don't split the logs on site. I actually just chuck the logs into my truck, dump them in a pile, and split them up on the hill. That's usually what I do. But because this is all right there, not far from my firewood pile, I'm just like, I'll just split it right here, and then, why chuck it? I'm not having to drive it from a different location. So if I drive from a different location, I don't split it on site. I split it at home. Yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, really? Okay, cool. Yeah, that's something. When I first started deer hunting, I didn't know nothing about processing the deer, but I did know how to field dress it because I read books and magazines on it, and so I saw pictures. I didn't go on YouTube, which was I don't think I even really knew about YouTube back then, 2006, and so I got my first deer. I field dressed it, and I took it to the butcher, and it was a 65-pound doe, and they gave me 20 pounds of meat. And I thought, and they charged me like $115 for 20 pounds of meat. And I thought, that's not cheap. And I found another place that was doing it for 75 bucks. So the next year I got, I did for 75 bucks. And I think that first one stole some of my meat because they were selling sausages and they were selling deer sticks and all sorts of things from their own stock. And it's like, how are you doing that? You're processing people's deer and you're stealing meat. Is my suspicion. I can't prove that. Allegedly, they are. But after I got a couple of deer, then I had another hunter that I knew that invited me to what they call a processing party. They go down every year during gun season to southern Illinois, and they go down for 2 weeks. And all the deer that they get between all 7 or 8 of them, or 10 of them, there might even be 12, all the deer they get, they bring back to this guy's garage where he's got these two hoists where you can lift them up. And you got two guys working on skinning the deer, processing it out, pulling out quartering it out, taking out the back straps, taking out the tenderloins, and, pulling all the meat off of the bones. And then passing it on to the next guys. And the next guys would actually separate the meat from the hams, the quarters, the legs, and all that, and then they'd move it to the next person. The next person would shave all the silver skin off and go through all the fine details. And so he invited me. Well, he said it, he talked about it, and I'm not sure if he invited me or if I asked if I could be a part, but it seems like he invited me. But I said, dude, I'll do it. You know, even if I don't have a deer to bring, I'd love to learn. And so he let me come with him. It was cool. A bunch of really cool guys. I remember they were bugging this one guy because he killed a deer that had spots on it. It was like a 50-pound fawn. And later on, I realized that fawn would have died. If it still has spots on come November, which is when they went, there's no way that fawn is going to be able to pack enough meat on to be able to last through an entire winter. Um, you know, but those young ones are the best, the tastiest. Um, Recently purchased bison meat from a local farmer. Yeah, I've had bison once. I didn't have a real dad growing up either. Stepdad taught me how to hunt and fish. Grateful for that. Yeah, that's cool. I didn't have anyone teach me anything outdoors. You know, my mom married guys that were just city folk. I was raised in the city, but as I got older, I really my whole life was living the whole spectrum of life that I could, you know, and I just found my home in the country. I don't like the city. I can put up with it. I can deal with it, you know, whatever, but I'm a country man. I love the country. But yeah, so I got to learn how to process deer, and I'm so glad because I've killed probably over 110 deer with a bow and arrow. And thankfully, I processed almost all of them myself, except for those first two. I had my first 2 deer processed by somebody else. And after that, I've done all the processing myself. There have been times where I've taken a bunch of grind meat that was cut up into squares, and I brought it to a place that would make deer sticks and sausages, which are really delicious. But yeah, anyway. Yeah, but I'm not a country boy, I'm a country man. There's a difference. Yeah, I can skin a buck, I can run a trot line, because a country boy can survive. Country folks can survive. That's what they say. Yeah, and I also realize that we're living in a time when people don't know how to survive. And I see the value in having some kind of independence from the infrastructure of society. As a young girl in Philly, I still remember how he hung the field dressed deer on the back fence. He hunted in the Poconos. Poconos? Poconos. I don't know where the Poconos is. But I've killed some big bucks. I've killed some huge bucks. And you have to, it's a different kind of hunting to go after mature bucks because they're not easy to hunt. They're like ghosts, you know, proverbially. They don't do a lot of movement in the daytime. They minimize their area. They don't go spread out. They have a small, kind of like a home range area, and they bed down close to a food place. They like to sit in an area where they can smell the thermal winds bringing in the scents from all directions that they can. They're very, very survival oriented. So it's challenging. And one of the things about deer I think is funny is the bucks. I'm going to start off with the does. The oldest does, the nanny does that are kind of like the leaders of the doe herds, they will keep all the younger ones behind them, and they will risk their own life to go ahead of them to sense for danger. And what they'll do is they've got the experience to be able to identify different things in the environment that the younger ones don't. And so they'll go out cautiously and identify and look for the danger, and then the younger ones will follow. But with bucks, it's the exact opposite. The bigger and the older ones will let the younger ones go ahead and find out if there's danger by if they get hurt. It's like they're completely like the older does are selfless and loving of the herd, and the older bucks are selfish and they don't give a shit about the herd. I mean, it's kind of funny. Kind of funny just to see, they're the same animal, but one's male and one's female, and the differences between that. And I actually think it's definitely the opposite with men. You know, Men will risk our lives for those we love, those we care about. Real men, anyway. What do we got here? Huntington Township. We were originally from the Wilkes Barre area of Pennsylvania, where the Pocono Mountains are located. Yeah, I've never been there. I've been. I think Pennsylvania is one of the states I've never been to, and it's only 2 states away from me. You know, I think I counted last. I was at 34 of the states I've been to. I've been to a lot of states, but I've never been to Pennsylvania, and it's one that I've always wanted to go. I was invited a couple of years ago, a few years ago, to come out to Pennsylvania to a mountain where this lady had an inheritance of 100 acres or so. And she said it was great hunting. I could go out there bear hunting. I could go out there deer hunting, whatever I wanted to. And I was going to take her up on it, but then I offended her because words come out of my mouth. I offend people, not intentionally, just speaking the truth. People don't like the truth. I had an old lady once that I was talking with. She was an old black lady. She said, Scott, she said, I can tell you like learning the truth of things. And she said, you got to be careful, because when you start learning the truth and you start telling people the truth, people aren't going to like you. And I'm like, yeah, I kind of found that out. You've been to Indiana once. They call it the Crossroads of America. I think it's because we've got a central hub of interstates. I think that's why it's called the Crossroads of America. You want to go north, east, west, south, and angled directions. You've got interstates coming out of like Indianapolis that go into just about every direction, which is kind of cool. Being here, it's like when I want to go somewhere, but when I was younger, I didn't like the interstates as much as I like the country roads, and I still like the side roads, the state highways and the U.S. highways, not the interstates, but the highways, just to go through smaller towns and see a lot more. Because when you're traveling on the expressway, you miss a lot of that. The exits are all the same. You know, you know, but when you're on a state highway, not all stoplights are the same. You come into the towns, you come into the different architectural structures and different layouts of streets and different people. And I always used to love the small town mom and pop restaurants and stores and just, but those things are a thing of the past anymore. We don't have this, a lot of these small mom and pop businesses are just being pushed out by major corporations. But anyhow, I am going to do a quick check on the chat here and see if I'm missing anything. I don't think I am, and I'm going to cut out. Yep, it's all done. So, hey, thanks for joining me. I'm going to catch you on the next one. I'm going to get myself something to snack on to give me some kind of energy, and I'm going to cut back into the cutting the wood. Peace. Bar is in northeastern. Okay. Northeastern Pennsylvania. Cool. Yeah, There's a guy called Learn Your Land. Look up Learn Your Land on YouTube. He's out in Pennsylvania. I think he's in northern central Pennsylvania. Um, or maybe even maybe even the western area. I'm not sure. But he does a lot of videos in western Pennsylvania. But he loves to travel around the world. Um, yeah. All right. But yeah, I like his. I've been a subscriber of his channel since he started, like 14 years ago. Anyway, see you later. Peace.